Hello everyone, this is Just a Dad. Today I'm going to do a detailed review on this Ninja coffee bar coffee maker. This is model CF082. So there's a lot going on with this coffee maker. It came with this little French press. I haven't used it yet, but it doesn't seem like the most expensive French press. Seems pretty cheap, but also comes with this hot cold recipe book. Now the machine looks really nice, doesn't take up a lot of room, but with these Ninja coffee bars, there's a lot going on with them. A lot of switches. They're just a little bit different than a normal drip coffee maker, but this is a standard drip coffee maker. They just got a lot of functions and can do a lot of different things. Let's just go over size real quick. So it's about 11 inches wide, about 11 inches front to back. Height-wise, it's about 14 inches, but nothing really pops up. So the filter basket pulls out to the front, and the water reservoir, you have to turn it, and it slides up a little bit, but you don't need much more clearance to get the water reservoir in. It's got a standard 2-prong cord. There is some sort of cord storage. You can wrap it around this, and it does have this nice, they put a sticker on here with the cleaning instructions. This is really nice. So Ninja does make some really nice coffee makers. And this is no exception. It just looks really nice. Again, you slide this out. This is where the coffee grounds go. It takes a number 4 cone filter. They give you a reusable filter, but you can put a paper filter in there. So here I have number 4 paper filters. And you can put a number 4 cone. They fit in there just right. Put your coffee right in there and then close it. And they work really good too. Next, let's check out the water reservoir. It does have an opening up here at the top, but I really like you can grab it, and if you just turn, it pops open. It's got a little plunger there. You can see there. It's got markings on the side. This is really nice so that you can clean this. Water reservoirs can be kind of tricky when they're kind of in normal coffee makers to clean. This one lets you clean it. You can get a brush. You can take this over to the sink. It is really nice. It's got those little ears where it's going to go in. That's why you turn it. It does have, so that's the max fill line when you want to do a full pot. There's a half a pot, there's a travel mug, and there's a cup. And there's the minimum full line. So what you'll find though, this is not like a standard 12-pot coffee maker. So there's a full coffee Carafe. So a full coffee pot on this Ninja is about 10 cups of a standard coffee pot. So let's take a little closer look. Now I've lost, there's a cap that screws on here and the coffee goes down a pipe into the coffee pot. I don't have that right now. But then you've got this little, it does have a warming plate, and you can turn that warming plate on and off. And the machine will turn the warming plate on and off depending on where the selector is. If you've got it on one of the 2 selectors that you're going to be brewing the coffee pot, it turns the warming plate off. If you've got it in travel mug or cup, it does not turn the warming plate off. That's very nice. It's got this little fold down tray. That's for like when you do small coffee mugs. And something else that's different with Ninjas is they got this drip stop. Normal coffee makers have like a plunger, you know, but this actually has a lever. And some Ninjas have a button you got to press and it does it automatically. But this has a lever, so that allows the coffee to come out, and that's a drip stop. And it lights a light down here letting you know that that drip stop is on. Because when you got it in drip stop, coffee is not going to come out of there, and it could start overflowing. I'm going to do separate videos on how to descale it, and I'm also going to do separate videos on how to set the delay brew. But it does have delay brew. It's got a clock. You can set the clock. If we look at the switch, it's got a nice lit display when we turn it to cup. It says preheat. That means it's keeping the internal water at a certain temperature so that it's ready to go a lot quicker. There's travel mug. There's a half of these coffee pots and a full coffee pot. And again, when you press these buttons, that's what starts the brew. So I can do a classic brew, I can do a rich brew, I can do an over ice, and I can do a specialty brew. And that means it's really concentrated. You'll probably do it into a cup. And it also has a clean light and a clean button. This light also says the surface is hot. So when it turns that warming plate on, it lets you know. And then that light will stay on as long as that warming plate is hot. So you don't want to put a travel mug on there or something. Ninjas do come with very good user manuals. So again, these are the approximate sizes. And it brews differently. So when you got it on cup, and you select Classic Brew, it brews it differently if you got it on cup, over ice, or cup and a specialty brew. Same with all these. And it's got this nice chart. So when I got it on cup and I do a Classic Brew, it's 9.5 ounces. When I do a rich, it's 8.8 ounces. So when I got it on cup and I do specialty brew, it's 3.1 ounces. That's getting really close to an espresso shot. And same with the travel mug. The travel mug changes sizes too. So you're going to get different amounts of water coming through the coffee maker depending on where the switch is and which brew button you press. There's 4 different brews. Even with the full pot, even if I want a full pot on Classic, it's the full 38 ounces. On the Rich, it's 35 ounces. On the Specialty, it's 10 ounces. Over ice, coffee only or with ice. Now, when it says coffee only, that's how much coffee comes out of the coffee maker when you got it on over ice. But that's how much you end up with when you add the appropriate amount of ice. It does come with a handy scoop. I don't have my scoop either. But we've got a nice chart here. It says, so basically the Ninja scoop is 2 to 3 tablespoons. I mean, it's equivalent to a tablespoon. So when it says to use the Ninja scoop 2 to 3 scoops, that means 2 to 3 tablespoons. But it does get a little different. So let's do a full pot of coffee. It says 4 to 6 scoops. Oh, that's because the scoops have single serve side and a Ninja scoop side, which is the coffee pot side. So the single serve side is like a tablespoon. The Carafe side is a little bigger. So thankfully they gave us this chart here. So I'm going to do a full pot. I can do 8 to 12 tablespoons. Okay, so I'm going to put the coffee grounds in. I'm going to use the paper filter. I could use this reusable filter, but you can't use both of them at the same time. So here's my tablespoon. I'm going to use just normal coffee grounds. There's one. I'm going to put 12 scoops in. And I'm just using standard Folgers coffee for like a drip coffee maker at a medium grind, which that's how it comes from the store. But if you grind your own coffee, you want a medium grind. So 12 tablespoons is kind of a lot considering that's just a 10 cup coffee pot. 10 tablespoons would probably work the best. That's the ratio I normally use on a standard drip coffee maker. But I put 12 in just so we want to make sure it can handle the most. Then you just slide this in. I guess I could show you. You can take this out if you tilt that up a little bit. And then underneath there's the brew head. So again, just tilt this in and then just slide it in all the way. It kind of snaps in. Again, make sure the drip stop is in drip, not over here. So I got to turn the switch to the full pot. That's all the way to the right. That lights up really nice and bright. I'm just going to hit Classic Brew. Once I hit Classic Brew, the stay warm light came on. That means the warming plate's going to come on. And then it starts brewing. The Classic Brew light is on. And again, if I would hit this drip stop, that light comes on and starts flashing at you saying, hey, you've got to switch in a position it shouldn't be in. So the machine is not extremely loud. It started brewing coffee almost automatically. As soon as I pressed the button, maybe within 30 seconds, I had coffee dripping out. The coffee maker is relatively quiet. I can hear a heating element heating up, but it's nothing too loud. Now, one thing I've noticed about these Ninjas is they brew they throw some hot water in the filter basket, and then they stop. I think that has to do with how you brew coffee beans or ground coffee. And then what you'll notice now, it starts back up. And then it'll kind of do more of a continuous flow. But you get kind of that original hesitation at first. I've noticed that with Ninjas. Some of the Braun multi-serves I've noticed that with. They can adjust the timing of how they send the water in there to help with a better brew. A standard drip coffee maker, it just continuously sends the water in at a certain rate till the water is gone. So again, let's say if I want to put this in drip stop, I move that over. I can grab me a quick cup of coffee, and then I got to put this back. It'll start beeping at you if you forget about this, but that light is flashing. Then I just throw that back to brew. It even talks in here about that. It's called to evenly saturate the coffee grounds. The brew will begin, stop, and be quiet for a short period. It's called the Pre-Infusion Cycle. So the machine does get a little louder as you go along. You do get some steam coming up around the lid and up over these here. It is kind of hot. So the water coming out of the coffee maker is pretty hot. It's about 195. It's getting a little louder and quite a bit more steam coming out around it. My water's still going down. Again, quite a bit. This thing steams a little bit more than I'm used to with a standard drip coffee maker. You do get quite a bit of steam out of this one. It's not loud, not super loud, but you just get a lot of steam. So after about 9 or 10 minutes, it really quiets down. It's still dripping a little bit. If you wanted to get a pot of coffee right now with it dripping, you would have to move the drip stop to drip stop. Otherwise, it is going to sit there and kind of drip for a while. And if you do take the coffee pot out, it will kind of drip onto the hot surface and make a mess. I do like, there's a more expensive Ninja out there, and the drip stop is electric. So it does beep at you when it's done. But again, this thing still may drip. So it just said it's done, but see, I'm still going to get a few drips. So you gotta manually put that to drip stop every time. There is another Ninja out there that this is electric, so that when the coffee maker is done, it moves the drip stop automatically for you, and you got to press a button and it moves. So, but anyway, this coffee pot, again, I'm missing that centerpiece that makes it pour just a little bit better. But let's see the temperature. This coffee pot feels really nice and pours really nice. So coffee cools off really quick, but that's a really hot cup of coffee, 170. Yeah, that's some of the hottest coffee. That's a really hot coffee maker. So if you leave the coffee maker on, it will stay on for 2 hours. It'll keep the coffee warm, the warming plate on for 2 hours to keep your coffee pot warm, and it'll keep the machine on for 2 hours. But when you're done, you can turn the switch all the way to off, and that turns the warming plate off. This will stay hot for a little while, but it is starting to cool down. Let's see how the coffee grounds did. Yeah, it did a pretty good job with the coffee grounds. Gets them all nice and saturated, looks like. You got a 200-degree temperature inside there. So just a little trick I like. So when my coffee's done, I move the drip to drip stop, so that when I remove the coffee maker, I don't get those stains on there. And then when I pull this out, it doesn't leak, because if you don't have that in drip stop, you'll get some drips there and stuff when you go to. So this does have, oh yeah, you got to remove. That's how we'll go dump the coffee grounds out. You got to remove the whole thing. So I'm not a coffee taste expert by no means, but this does make a really good cup of coffee. And where this thing shines is over the ice a little bit, but it's the specialty brew. And being able to brew into a travel mug, that's kind of the two highlights of this machine. And I'm going to show you those two. So let's go over cleanup. Again, you got to lift this up. This is really well made. Works really well. It's got a nice big opening for that to go into, but we're going to take this over and then we can dump out the coffee grounds. So cleanup is pretty simple. This washes out really easy. It is dishwasher safe top shelf, but it is kind of big. Same with this. You definitely wouldn't want to put it in the bottom rack, but it is a little hard to get in the dishwasher. Just on a side note, so if you use this reusable filter, you will get a little bit of sediment in the bottom of your coffee mug. That's what it's from. When you use a paper filter, you don't get sediment. So some people say the sediment adds a richer flavor to the coffee. I tend to agree with that. It does make it taste a little better, but you do get a little sediment in the bottom of your cup. Okay, so where this thing really shines is with travel mugs. Being able to brew into a travel mug with the appropriate amount of coffee grounds is kind of rare. And I'll show you. So this travel mug holds almost 14 ounces. And guess what? So when you turn this switch to travel mug and do a classic brew, that's exactly travel mug. And classic brew is 14 ounces. So it works out perfect. And then we look at how much coffee to use. A travel mug, 3 to 4 tablespoons. Okay, so I've got 4 tablespoons. You know, if I want my coffee a little stronger, I can put 5 tablespoons in there. I know it'll handle it. And I could put, if I don't like it as much, I could put 2 tablespoons. So I'm going to close that. I got to put water in my reservoir, which is real easy. I just turn this. I can take this over to the sink. Okay, so I've got travel mug selected with the selector switch. I could do a rich brew. It wouldn't be as much coffee, but I'm going to do a classic brew. I want the full 14 ounces in there. Again, I've got the drip to open, and it starts brewing. Starts brewing almost immediately. But again, it's going to start and then stop and then kind of pause for a little bit. So when the coffee comes out, it does come out in 2 streams. There should be one over here and one over here. I don't think I got my coffee grounds even in there because it's coming out of this one. So that's another thing. When you put your coffee grounds in there, make sure you get it kind of nice and even or the water will come out on one side more than the other. And again, since we're in travel mug, the warming plate's not on, but it could still be hot from when we did our first brew, but it's pretty cool now. The light's not on. So the travel mug's filling up. Okay, one of the things I have noticed, so I did get a few coffee grounds in here. And when you use a paper filter, sometimes this happens. I don't know why. I think there's just not a ton of coffee grounds to kind of hold the paper filter up against the wall. So I do recommend probably using the reusable filter when you are using a small amount of coffee grounds. Otherwise, it folds over and you do get quite a bit of coffee grounds in your coffee. And it made kind of a big mess. Okay, so now let's show you one of the other highlights. This is very nice shelf that comes down. It's got grippers on it to kind of grip. It's kind of rubbery. It is kind of heavy duty. Let's put our cup on there. Okay, it's going to sit just like that. This is going to do 9 ounces when I turn this to cup. 9 ounces. I'm using the reusable filter this time. It just sits in there like this. I've got 3 tablespoons of coffee in there. And again, when I do a classic brew, it's going to do 9 ounces. If I did a rich brew, it'll do a little less, and same with over ice and specialty. But I'm going to do a classic brew in a cup. My next drink after this is going to be a specialty drink. I'm going to do a different video on over ice. Again, it starts brewing almost immediately. Now the reason this is nice, you do get quite a few splatters. If you don't put it on this tray, you will get some splatters that come out of your cup. You even get some splatters with it up on this tray. And there you have a cup of coffee. Pretty quick time. And something you're going to get in the habit of is towards the end, because it kind of drips forever, you can sit there and let it drip, or just put this to drip stop, and then you can grab your cup of coffee. That's a very good cup of coffee. Yeah, the coffee grounds did much better this time. Much better. Okay, so now we've done a cup with the Classic Brew. Let's do a Specialty Brew. You can do a Specialty Brew on these other settings, and the chart will show you how much you get. But in a cup, you get about 3 ounces in your coffee cup. So I've got 3 tablespoons of coffee grounds in. Again, I've got the reusable filter in. Got it on cup. Make sure I got plenty of water. Good to go. Hit the Specialty Brew. And it even says concentrated coffee. Yeah, this is going to be really this is for like if you want to make a latte or a cappuccino. Now this thing does not have a frother. Some of the other Ninjas have kind of like a pop-out frother, which is really nice, and they work really good, but this one does not. So again, it starts brewing almost automatically. And then we're going to get one more shot of water through it. Again, this is not going to be much water. This is going to be very concentrated coffee. Again, that's just one of the downfalls. These things do drip forever. If you were ready, it's done. If you were ready to get it out, you would just throw that to drip stop. But it will beep at you to let you know that it's done. But it's still a good idea to put this in drip stop. Okay, so it just started beeping at us. Now again, that's a really, really concentrated coffee. This is again, see how the coffee grounds did. Got a really good brew on the coffee grounds. So real quick, I just want to show you that sediment earlier. This is the one we fixed with the reusable filter. Again, it tastes really good. You just might notice this in the bottom of your cup. That's what coffee sediment is. And this was the one we did earlier with a paper filter. Again, no sediment. So if you don't want any sediment, use a paper filter. But again, you do get 2 kind of different brews. So this is a very nice coffee maker. Ninja does make some very good appliances. Nothing feels too cheap about it. There's just a couple quirks about it, but it does make some really good coffee. My next video will be how to descale it when the clean light comes on. It has a cleaning mode. Check out that video. I'm also going to do over ice. I'm also going to set out how to set the clock and program the delay brew. Thanks everybody for watching. And if you could, please like and subscribe.